Black space is a place for us.
Real people with real issues.
Discussing real topics.
Black space.
A safe space for our community.
Good evening, everyone. I am your host, Genele Love. Welcome to our show tonight. So tonight we are going to talk about Does Size Matter? Now, I know you guys are probably thinking like, okay, here we go. We're actually going to cover a variety of different things when it comes to size, but we're going to pretty much talk about men tonight. That's going to be the thing. So go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We're on YouTube, obviously. Go ahead, like and share. Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, Podchaser, Pod Addict, Overcast, Castbox. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, and many, many more. So go ahead, like I said, share, subscribe to our channel. So I'm going to introduce our two lovely ladies we have back for a second and third time. Charmaine, thank you for joining us this evening. China, thank you for joining us. So we have one other lady that's going to be joining us in a little bit. But go ahead and introduce yourself, Charmaine. You've been on. This is your second time on the show. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you for having me. So yeah, I'm Charmaine. I'm single, divorced, no children, and I am a preschool director. I live in Georgia, and yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you for joining, Charmaine. And China, introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are, where you're from.
Hello. As you mentioned, my name is China from Mississippi, living in Dallas, Texas. I am an accounting manager, 32, single, no children. I do desire them. And I'm just ready to dive in.
All right. Sounds good. Fair enough. So, ladies, does size matter? So like I said, we're going to cover a bunch of different things. We're just not going to talk about the D. I'm going to refer to it as the D. Because I can get myself in trouble. I'm very candid. But we're going to refer to it as the D. But not only does size matter when it comes to the D, but does bank account matter? Does the size of a man's credit score matter? Does the size of his ego matter? Like, does all that stuff even matter? Like, how relevant is it when it comes to trying to find a husband, if that's what you desire is marriage, or when it comes to just dating in general? So let's go ahead and jump right in. China, I'll start with you. Does size matter when it comes to the D? And particularly if you were dating someone who had a small package, if you will, but they had a lot of money and they treat you like a queen, let us know your perspective on that.
So, yes, size does matter. To me, just my personal opinion, you have to be equally yoked in that department, right? I don't desire a guy to just have a lot of money, the largest penis, or anything like that. You do have to have a good balance, right? I think that sex is 50% of a relationship.
Right.
If not more, to be honest with you, because you don't want, or I don't think that a long-term relationship can just be all about sex. That won't work. You have to have some substance there, but it is important, and size does matter. So yes, I will say yes.
Okay, fair enough. I love that. And same question for you, Charmaine. So if you were dating a guy, and let's just talk about, because you both desire to be married, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's just say, Charmaine, this is someone that you're looking at as marriage material, and you tested out the goods, and package is small, it's not hitting on anything, but the brother's got money, and he treats you like a queen, and he rolls out the red carpet, and he does all the things that a man's supposed to do anyway. Where do you stand on that perspective?
It depends on how small we're talking. Is it workable? Because there are, when we talk about size, it could be, are we talking 3? Are we talking 5, 6? You know what I mean? So it just depends what we're talking about. So if it's workable, I could could see myself, trying to see what that could be if all the other things fell into place.
Right.
If the chemistry was there, all
Mhm.
that good stuff. But for me personally, size does matter. And if he had, if he was financially well off, I might make a little bit more of an exception with that. Not even gonna lie.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. So let me ask you this, ladies. Have you ever measured like your man, your exes measured like when they're at their total erection and said, okay, this is like the perfect size for me? I know I have.
My ex-husband.
You did.
That's the only man that I have witnessed and measured.
Okay.
But most men, they'll measure themselves, but they usually will measure themselves incorrectly.
Right. Right. So you and do you care to share what was he hitting on?
Oh, he was
He was
bro.
hitting on something?
Yeah, bro was a good 9. A solid 9.
Yeah.
That's not the issue.
Yeah, it's funny because I would say like a 9 is like perfect for me, just based on history. So China, what about you? What's a perfect penis size for you?
Well, I've never measured. Ladies, I will just keep it
Okay.
a
Right.
book and 25 with you guys. I have come across some small penises in my lifetime.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And
Mhm.
those guys were good men. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
what makes it tough.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, everyone wants to be satisfied. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was dating the guy. He wasn't black, right?
Mhm.
Great guy. I would just get flowers just because. Date nights, I never planned one. He literally planned all of our date nights. He was so perfect in every other department but that one. And I was like, you know what? All things, equal. I just can't, like, because at the end of the day, you want to be satisfied, and I'm looking for something long term. So
Right.
it's just really unfortunate when you come across those great, awesome men, but they falling short, right?
Mhm.
So I've never measured one.
Interesting. Okay. So Charmaine and I we're here. So 9 is perfect. Like for me, anything below that, it's kind of like I know. So I don't even need to like, manipulate the situation and pull out the measuring tape, kind of know. But I'm sure you kind of know China, like when it goes down, like, okay, this ain't it, right?
Oh yeah, I can do a good set. Honestly, the
Mhm.
average size penis, I did research this, so I saw the average size kept coming up like 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
I'm like, okay, honestly, compared to what old boy, the number
Mhm.
black guy was bringing to the table, y'all, that was a strong 3.5. And I was like, you know
Oh
what?
gosh.
I know, I'm serious. It was so sad. It was so
Yeah.
and he was such a good guy. But I think a good, between 5 and 7, I think I'll
Mhm.
be fine because I don't want to be living out there in La La Land. You know what I mean? Because everybody you come across, they're not gonna be packing like that. But
Right. So let me ask you this. If you had a guy that was packing, okay, he wasn't lacking, but and he satisfied you completely from head to toe, from the rooter to the tutor, but he didn't make no money and he didn't have no bread. Like, where do you fall in that scenario, Charmaine?
I had it.
It lasts long.
I mean, that you can only do that for so long
Yeah.
before you get frustrated in other areas. Okay,
Mhm.
so this bill is coming up. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the dick was good. I mean, yeah, it was
Right.
great, but I mean, these bills got to be paid.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could pay it, but I don't want to. Like, you live here, you use the utilities, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Mhm.
you can only get away with that for so long, and
Mhm.
it's gonna trickle down into other things, and now you frustrated, and you, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm good.
like you spending your rent money on trying to take me to Ruth Chris, and it's just too much. I mean, yeah, you dicking me down, and it's good when we get home, but yeah, it's just too much. So China, what about you? Have you been in that situation before?
I started out in a situation like that before.
Hmm.
And he got himself together as we progressed into our relationship. So I did start off
Hmm.
into that relationship, but
Right.
listen, I'm sorry at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Yes, that's important, but
Right.
like she said, these bills still gotta get paid. And I want you to feel like the man. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If you aren't if you're not carrying your weight around the household, you're not gonna feel good about yourself. I don't think a guy will.
Yep.
So I need you to step up and feel like a man and come in and take care of some things. But no, I've never started out in a situation like that.
Okay.
And it
That,
didn't end well. So it ended well.
yeah, that's that
Those be
makes
the
sense.
most toxic ones. The ones with good D and no money.
Girl.
They be the ones, and they know they got the good D, and they can.
Yes, and they use that, and they get they make it. You know what I mean? Like they live life just
Mhm.
riding on that. So nah, I'm good.
Right. So both of you ladies, I'm understanding that you basically wouldn't marry someone who like has good penis and they just don't have no money. That's just not long term for you, right?
No.
That's not long term.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Now, if
So
he had,
mhm.
if he was down right now, but he, had a skill like a trade or college educated and had a career and
Right.
could make and had the opportunity and potential to make that money, he was just at a
Exactly.
down point,
Mhm.
then that's something completely different. We can work with that. And he's
Right.
not lazy. He does have a good track record with, stability and all that good stuff. He's just at a down point. That's something completely different. Then please come on over here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, what I'm hearing is basically women. I mean, we definitely care about the package and we care about whether they have substance or not, because some women will date men zero substance, but they're good men. And when I say no substance, I mean like not emotionally available. You all know what that means, right? I mean, that's the number one thing like women nowadays, I feel like have to look for in a man is someone who is emotionally available, because that's just like a big part for me. That's bigger than sex. A man who's emotionally available and is going to sit and listen to me like my girlfriends would, um, and attend to my emotional needs. And then I need some good dick too at the same time. So what percentage of women do you feel like they're willing to sacrifice one or the other? Like, okay, the man has no substance, but he's good in the bedroom, or he's not good in the bedroom, but he has perfect substance and he's there for me emotionally.
I think that plays a part in maturity and where you're at in life. Like what stage of life you're at.
Right.
Um, for for me, I can, I'm in my mid 30s now, and so I used to be able to bypass a lot of things, but now I'm looking for more substance, emotionally available.
Hmm.
Um, you know, there's just a lot more that I'm considering now. But I think that there's a lot of. I mean, if the woman is young, or less responsibilities or
Hmm.
whatever, she may go for the nice package with little else going on, um,
Right.
versus someone more mature that has more responsibilities and kind of has lived experiences that will look more so at the total package. Now, sex is
Right.
important, so we gonna still consider the size for some women, because some women's bodies are just different. But
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah, I love it, love it. So how do you feel about that, China?
So I know an older lady, and she told me once, she was like, China, that don't matter. honey, it don't matter if it's small or not. Get you somebody that's gonna love you. Get you somebody that's going to take care of you. Someone who's going to provide for you. And I'm sitting there thinking, but so you're telling me to sacrifice certain parts of a relationship that I'm wanting, and at this point, I can't see myself bending on that, right? I do know some women who are sticking around with guys who can only give them the D. And if I was younger, late teens, 19, 20, 21, I would possibly, you do the same thing. I have done that, right? But we're talking about 32-year-old China. We're not talking about, 22-year-old China. So for me, I personally don't understand it because at the end of the day, we want it all, right? We're not gonna get it all, but we want it all. But there's some things that there's just no negotiation on. I'm sorry, and I can't see myself just being with someone only because of sex. It has to be more.
Some women, it's not important, like sex isn't a deal breaker. Some women don't have a high sex drive, or they don't need much to please, and that's okay. And then there's some women that their bodies, how they're made, the shape of how their uterus tilts and all that, like all that plays a big part in what they need, and so that, let them, take the little one, I just
it's funny you say that, because I always said the person that I'll marry or I'll end up just falling for has to be able to get to the bottom. And I know y'all heard that before, right?
Girl.
Like,
Girl.
If you can't get to the bottom of this thing, we don't even need to be wasting each other's time. And I love how you say, Charmaine, the uterus are tilted different, because neither one of you have children, but I just had my first child 2 years ago. And I didn't even realize that, when your uterus is tilted a certain way, the baby lays a certain way, and it could be born a certain way and all this stuff. So I had to learn all that. But I know that in my sexual relationships before I was married, I would just X them out, like, oh, you aren't gonna be able to get to the bottom. You couldn't get to the bottom. And my thing is tilted, so it takes a little work to get down there. So I wasn't giving brothers no mercy. Like my ex is like, no mercy. He's like, come on, your uterus is tilted. It's hard to get down there. So ladies, have you been with a man who was able to get to the bottom? Like, let's just get right to it. China, I'll start with you.
Girl. What they say, when you find those, you want to hold on to them. But
hey, you overlook some things.
Like Samora said.
Yeah, so it almost sounds like we're contradicting ourselves, right?
Yeah.
I have had some very nice relations. Too bad things just didn't work out. And when they have the package that you want, that you're liking, you really try to work on those, right? We can, like she mentioned, we can work on some things. Now I am not interested in building a man. I'm just not about to do that at this point. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that I can work on, and that's not going to be one of them.
Right.
So I'm not building a guy. I actually, speaking of, I had someone to tell me, well, China, I think y'all are too hard on men. I think if you get with a man, you should be able to help him get to where he needs to be. Baby, who? No. I help me get to where I need to be. I need you to come to this table where you're supposed to be, right?
Right.
But yes, I have had some really good relations. But at the end of the day, they were an ass, didn't know how to treat anybody, didn't know how to talk to anyone. And those are things that's important as well. So,
right.
Yeah.
It is so true. So this is a good time to segue. I need to let Neek in. So I'll go ahead and pop her in here.
Good evening, ladies.
Hi, Nick. Welcome. Nick is one of our special guests. She actually has one of her podcasts of her own that she's working on. So she's a very special guest of ours. And Nick, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone and then also the other two lovely panelists here.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I am Neek Love. I came across Miss Genele, which I guess we would be love cousins, networking on Facebook. That sounds strange, but yeah, I have a new platform, Fly Femme Financial Bosses, which caters to women, upcoming, entrepreneurs and things like that. Just balancing the mental health space and our femininity because there's this soft life trend that we as women are relaxing into, and I just want to lend a hand of support and accountability to and a platform to women to do that. So thanks for having me.
Oh, we love it. Thank you for joining us. So let's go ahead and catch you up to speed. So I'm very candid, and the show is a little candid. So we're just going to jump right in. So we're talking about the size matter, and we're referring to all different things when it comes to men's packages. We haven't talked about finances too deeply yet, but we're going to get there. Egos, bank accounts, like, does all that stuff even matter? So we're talking about that. We started off with talking about the peen, or the penis, if you will. So let's just go ahead and catch up, and then whatever you're comfortable, speaking on, speak on. If not, next question. All right. So Nick, I'm curious to know, does size matter to you in particular? Would you date a man who, let's just say, had a small package but treated you like a queen? He had a lot of money. He was just the guy for you, but didn't satisfy you sexually in the bed as far as like his package. How do you feel about that?
I wouldn't think he was the guy for me if he didn't, but I have dated men with less than stellar packages, if you will. And being as though I'm a deep thinker, I have a science behind it for me. My grandmother birthed my mother. She was 12 pounds. My mother birthed myself and my brother. These are natural births. I was 10 pounds. My brother was 9. And for me, I feel like my womb is just a little bit bigger. And I feel like I need a little bit of a sizable package to reach the
Get to the
important
bottom.
space.
We just talked about that.
Let's just get to the bottom.
We just let it out.
Yeah, so that's for me. I feel like it does matter. It does, and I've done a little poll with men, and it matters to them as well. But I mean, the guys that I did date that weren't measuring up, so to speak, they were some of the nicest, gentle. I mean, treated me like a queen, but there was something in me that just could not relax with that. So for me, yes, it does. It absolutely does.
Right. And what about a man? So the opposite end of the spectrum would be a man who completely satisfies you sexually, the package, the peen, all the way on live, but he's broke.
That's not satisfying me.
That's connect mentally, right?
Like I'm I don't know if you listened to the previous show. I mean, I'm 15 years celibate. I can hold out.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, and if I don't and get what my standards require, then I won't. I'm good with achieving my own goals and living out my own purpose. I'm not needy in that department. I'm wanty in that department. Yes, absolutely.
Let's now, you caught me somewhere. Let's circle back. Now, you're probably like the Virgin Mary. Now, you ain't got no dick in 15 years.
Well, I want to say for 10 of those 15 years, I was dating women.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right. More power to. Shout out to my LGBTQ. I hope I said that right. Community.
I mean, I'm not an alphabet gang member.
Gotcha.
Card carrier anymore.
So you were experimenting.
I mean, I was not dating men, so it was just a fault, kind of something to do.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were being sexually satisfied, obviously. So the dick didn't matter, right, and all that stuff. That makes sense. And they have so many cool toys too for like lesbians.
I'm not even into toys.
Oh, how did you get down with the get down then?
I mean, honestly, From the time I was 11, I could concentrate to orgasm. I don't have
Gotcha.
to touch myself. I mean, it's been easy for me.
Mental.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good for you, girl. That's good. So let me ask you, and ladies, I'm sorry, I don't mean to leave you out there, but Nick, you kind of reeling me in. You get my little creative juices going here. So, do you desire to be married to a man someday, or like
Yes.
where are you at? Okay, okay,
Yes, I do. I mean, I still desire to actually have all that I crave, you know?
okay.
I'm not giving
Mhm.
up on my desires, but I'm also not lowering my standards either.
I know that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So when we said, so what about have you dated when you were, with men sexually? Have you dated someone that had the full package? They literally brought the heat to you, but they didn't have any substance. And substance is important. We were talking about men being emotionally available.
Hmm. No.
Nope. So it all has to connect for you.
Hmm. Yeah.
And what I find in our community, and I can particularly speak on people that I've known, growing up over the years and in my 20s and my 30s, is some of the women in our community we find end up being baby mamas because they're chasing the men with the big packages, or they're chasing the men who everyone's chasing, and they're not becoming wives. And we need to figure out why that is happening. Why aren't we being wifed up? Why are they going to the white women and the Chinese women? Because I think what we're talking about here is really important, because we have to put a greater emphasis on, yeah, our needs need to be met. And yeah, we deserve as beautiful Black educated women to handpick the man that we want. But at some point, are we being shallow with our decisions? And as far as like really like fine tooth combing these men to make sure they're like the perfect creature. Like Charmaine, how do you feel? How do you feel about that? Because I would never want to see, more women continue to just be chasing men for penis, and now they end up with 4 or 5 kids and never married to any of these men. And they're just focused on just things that like aren't important. And Charmaine, you spoke on that a little bit earlier. How do you feel about that?
Well, I am very picky, so I am one of those those people. Um, but I, I would rather be picky and hope to find um, a like-minded person that has all that with the great chemistry, great energy, um, versus, you know, okay, I can do without that. Oh, maybe that's not that important. Or maybe I don't really need that. And then find myself a year or two down the line, like frustrated, rolling over in the bed, like, why are you still here?
Right. Like you done compromise yourself out of your purpose type of thing. It's like, no,
Right.
Exactly.
I'm not doing that. I would rather continue to work on myself to put myself in
Yeah.
better environments to get what it is that I want.
You will
Right.
attract that.
Right.
And I 100% believe that, because after the last couple years, I've been doing a lot of self work, and now being single since earlier this year, I've just noticed a difference in the
Mhm.
quality of men that I'm attracting because I am better, you
Yes.
Yep.
know,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
You're
I'm
getting
more,
close. Yes. Right. You feel yourself getting close. And it's like, yes, I'm going to
yes,
keep
I'm
on
on the
doing
right
this.
track.
I'm almost there.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
I know that I'm on the right track, and
Hmm.
um, and so no, I'll continue to do my work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the my energy will just attract those like-minded people that can see me, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the thing I love about, Black women and us is that when we're focused, we're focused. Like, I didn't have my first baby until I was 37. And I refuse to let anyone just get me pregnant. I refuse to lay down with anyone and say, oh, if we have a baby, we have a baby. Like, no, I was laser focused on finding the right husband to have a child with. And I was like, well, obviously I'm not going to push it into my 40s. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's commendable and respectable for women to focus on their journey and have that. It's okay to have a list. And we talked about this on the last show, Charmaine. I think sometimes with some of our lists, we have to be a little bit realistic. Neek, how do you feel about that? Like, as you get older, do you feel like you kind of shave down your list of what you're looking for, or you just kind of keep it solid when
Um,
it comes to a
as
man?
as I've gotten older, I've realized that honestly, I was not doing the, I wasted a lot of time fighting with the level that I was on instead of doing what I'm doing now and elevating myself to a different level.
Right.
That's the accountability. Like I if I had known then what I know now, I would have already, done the internal work to start attracting it, obviously. But, you know, we don't come into life with a handbook type of thing, and you kind of have to fail and fail and fail until you get good at it. Because unfortunately, for a lot of Black women, we grow up in situations with older Black women who are kind of resentful of us in our youth and don't really give us the truth. They give us idealism, so it's not like we have kind of a truthful blueprint to get us started early. We kind of have to either watch and be wise, like, you know what, I don't want to end up like that, so I'm going to kind of go this way. I don't but how do I navigate where how I want to end up? You know what I mean? We kind of have to intuitively listen to that inner guide. And not all the time we trust that inner guide. It takes time to develop these things. That's why I feel like it's so important for the platform that I'm developing and these conversations that we're developing as a sisterhood for us and for other young women coming up that want to be entrepreneurs, that want to do these things, to find a balance and to find themselves in their own voice so that they can have a leg up in the game, figuratively.
I love, let's go back to what you said about our role models growing up. And I got one foot in the 40s club coming up. But, growing up in my era, and I don't know if you women can relate, and I definitely want to hear your perspective on this. Some of the women that I grew up around, aunts, cousins, they were a little bitter against men. And, just the perspective on how they had to have that strong mentality, and I've got all these kids, I got to raise them by myself. I remember having food stamps back in the day, and we had to kind of toughen up and see how these women were running their households by themselves. And like you said, Neek, earlier, you kind of look at that lens, and as you grow up, you're like, okay, what direction do I go to? Where I make my own rules and my own perspective on being a woman in this society, or do I kind of think about how I was raised and those women that I was around, and how they were doing things and how they were moving. And I had to really stop and think, like, okay, well, this makes sense. I'm a grown up now, I can make my own rules. But then you still look at your upbringing and who you were raised around. They definitely heavily influence you, but at some point you got to steer off and do your own thing. So, like, China, how do you feel about that, as far as like your upbringing and like the woman that you have become, and like the way you see even dating and finding a husband now? Like, how does that all like connect for you?
So I didn't have a lot of examples of Black marriages around me, to be honest with you. I was not raised around women who were just scarred. You know what I mean? Or if they were, they didn't show it. And of course, we as Black women, we know sometimes we have to put on that face, right? We got to get out there and we got to fight this world. So we don't really see that side. But since I did not have a just a really good representation of a marriage, I always knew that that is what I wanted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't around me. I always knew that that is what I desired. I did not have a two-parent household. My mother raised my sisters and I. Um, so since I did not have it, I know that's what I want, and I want that for my children. I get asked so many times, why don't you have kids? Why are you putting that on me? Don't put that on me. Ask me why I don't have a husband first. How about that?
Right, right.
Right.
I've been told this, that, whatever. No one's knocked you up. If I know how to have a baby, I know how not to have one too, right? So just to, bring it all back together, just from my personal upbringing, I did not have my father around, but my mother was not walking around mad at the world either. You know what I mean? So me personally, I did not have that representation around. So I do know that is what I desire for my children, because I do see how important it is.
Right.
You can see I believe that you can tell the difference between someone who was raised by a single mother versus someone who was raised in a two-parent household. I think I can tell the difference. I don't know about you ladies. Can you guys tell that when you meet someone, can you sense it?
Um, I don't think so. Not nowadays. Because I was raised like that's my pedigree. My grandparents 63 years, my parents 30 years, aunts, uncles 40 something years. It's like, however, they were operating in a different time. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's like now I don't think anyone could tell I was raised in a two-parent household. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, I can't tell.
What
How do
about
you
you,
tell, China?
Tremaine?
Hmm?
How can you tell, China?
Honestly, so the ladies that are around me who were raised in a two-parent household, um, they know how to. I don't want to say that, so because I may send this link to them, so I don't want to say that. But I think that I really can. I can sense it for some reason. They tend to be a little bit more softer. Um, I can definitely tell my friends, the ones who were raised in a single family or raised by their mother, um, they tend that they can't be soft. They have to present themselves as being so strong and so independent. It seems as though they have to let the world know their accomplishments. They have to let the world know what they're doing at that current moment, and that's the vibe that I get without them even saying it. You know what I mean? So that's why I said I can personally tell.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that you say that. That's a really good point, China. I grew up in a two-parent household up until I was about 13, right? So I had a little bit of that. Okay, well, I see my mom do this for my dad, and I carried over those traits into my marriage, which are highly appreciated by my husband. Washing clothes, cooking, cleaning up behind him, just doing things that a woman should do and knowing how to play my role as the woman and let him be the man and lead. I'm independent financially. He's independent financially, but I never step on the toes of allowing him to be the man. And I don't need him or want him for anything, but I don't make him feel like he's not wanted either. So I've seen those dynamics with my parents. But then when my dad was out of the household and my mom had become the strong, independent woman, then I also got that side of it too, where I was like, well, she's doing it with no man. Like when I grow up, like I could probably do that too. But I could tell you that doesn't work because men, they want us to one, be feminine. They don't care how much money we make. They don't care what you do. They just want to know that you could be somebody that they could put on a pedestal, and that they can be like, this is my wife, this is my partner, and she got my back, I got her back. And that's just my personal opinion and perspective. But like Charmaine, like how do you see that? Were you raised in like a two-parent household, or how did that work out for you?
Yeah, my parents celebrated 40 years
Oh, that's all.
last year.
Mhm.
So yeah, I and my grandparents were married, so that's what I know. But my difference comes in I'm a first generation American. My family is Jamaican. So there's that cultural aspect of, relationships. So that's been tough to navigate because I was raised as a Jamaican living in America with American traditions around me, yet in my household, Jamaican culture. So, like conversations with friends, girlfriends, and things that are growing up in American households, Black American households, are much different than the conversations we're gonna have in my house, or the way that things are in my home. Um, Jamaicans are generally like very old school, traditional thinking, whereas Black American women are in a wave of, um, independence and, you know, um, more assertive and more, you know, in that sense. But I've literally had conversations with Jamaican women that assured me that your man is going to cheat, but as long as he takes care of the house and brings the money to you, there's no problem. Now that's not my parents. My parents, no, they didn't play that. But aunts, cousins, whatever. Yes, I have heard that. Friends, but my parents, they had a great relationship. I knew I grew up in love and seeing how a household runs and a marriage works. Um, yeah. I think I went off on a tangent. What was the question?
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. And I know our viewers were probably like, how did y'all go from talking about dick to how everybody was raised individually, right? But at the end of the day, like, it's important for men, you all need to realize that the reason why we are the way we are, spiritually, mentally, is because of how we were raised and how we were brought up. And even though we come into our adulthoods and we start to make our own decisions and we start to get influenced by the current world around us, we still are human, and we have wants and desires that, in a strong Black woman, if those aren't met, then we just going to keep the carousel going. So Nick, let me ask you this: so when is enough to where you have your laundry list of what you're looking for, package, credit score, financial? I'm sure all of those things, as an educated, beautiful Black woman, they have to add up. Is that important to you, all that stuff?
No, because I mean, for me, that part, that's what my partners, that's what I add value to, if your credit score, things of that nature, that's what I kind of specialize in. And I would love to do that for my family, the financial aspect, because for me, that's how I was raised. The woman takes care of the budgeting, the paperwork, the secretary, you know what I mean? In a family business, marriage is business at the end of the day.
To me, if your credit bad, then you're irresponsible.
I mean, some people don't have credit. Some people work based on cash. Some men with, that work in construction or some type of specialized trade or skill, they may not have credit. And these are things that can be, I mean, it's a number at the end of the day. Once you know that system, you know how to manipulate that game, and that's really null and void. But if the credit, like you said, is like bad, then yes, that is a sign of irresponsibility and that is a red flag. However, we all make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? So depending on the time frame of the mess ups is determines, but I don't feel like I have a laundry list. I feel like it's about chemistry and really putting myself in a position to receive that man. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's talk about credit, because to me, dick is just as important as credit. And I'm going to tell you why. Because one, if you desire to be married, I'm pretty sure you desire to have children. Do you want to be living in an apartment with all your children? Some people do it. I grew up in the projects. I have nothing against people who raise their kids in apartments. But the reason why, people aren't becoming homeowners and raising their families in apartments a lot of times is because it's credit. Because if you look at financial literacy, and I used to teach this, a lot of times, well, most times it's more beneficial to be a homeowner and to have investments and to have, all that financial stuff working for you where you're not throwing money down the drain. So going back to what I was saying, if you desire to be married and have a family, you're going to want to have a house and you need to have credit. So when I first met my husband, he cussed me out when I asked him what his credit score was. And
everybody's not privy to financial literacy, though. Some people are just ignorant to it.
Yeah, and that's fine. And they end up single by themselves, running circles around themselves. But if it's a man that I'm going to lay down with and say, I'm going to have your children, I'm going to be your wife, we're going to work on credit together.
Yes.
Or you're going to already be there and show me the way and you're going to lead. Because I actually had to give my husband the groundwork and the footprint to get to, we went from a 700 square foot apartment to a 6,000 square foot home. And that was because I literally gave him the steps that he needed, because he didn't know nothing about credit. It's not that he was financial, literacy wasn't there. He just didn't know where to start, So a lot of times men, it's okay to have that conversation.
Mhm.
Not only do we need to know like you're going to be good in the bed, but are you going to be able to put me and my children in a home? Are we going to be homeowners? Are we going to be not throwing money down the
And
drain?
and if something happens, can you go to the dealership and get a car?
Thank you. Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if you know, and like I said from earlier, lived experiences will make you prioritize certain things. I have
Big
lived
time.
those
Big
experiences.
time.
You wrecked a car. We need a car. Can you go to the dealership and get one?
Big time. And that I used to drive around in hoopties. I'd get out, have to, put the hanger on the muffler, but as a mother now, and that's because back in the day I didn't have good credit. As a mother now, I couldn't imagine putting my daughter through that. And she's two, driving around in these hoopties, because I had to elevate myself, with my credit. And I'll be damned if the man that I'm with isn't going to be on that level as well.
Right.
Yep.
And let me say this, because we're talking about credit specifically. Can you go to the dealership, get a car, and not have an interest rate that is ridiculously high?
30%. Right.
27%. What?
Now
No,
you're dishing out more money that you could be
right.
used for something else.
Exactly. You're paying a whole mortgage for a car. No, not interested. And it's
Yeah.
no, and it's not a foreign. Nah.
China, how do you feel? Girl, I know that's right.
Hold on.
She's not important. You ain't no Bugatti. What you talking about?
It doesn't, and I'm not saying that it needs to be a foreign, but I'm saying if I'm gonna pay a mortgage, it needs to be a foreign.
You get it right. Pull up on me. Pull up on me.
I'm good with the Ford. Great with the Ford.
Nick, so you looking like
I mean, because this is it's a completely foreign language for me. I
Gotcha.
think it's because at my age, like I wouldn't even look at a person like that. Like I don't even look at people that don't have that level of foundation. Like, where am I going to meet someone that doesn't have a car? For me, like, and then the space that I'm in and what I know how to go to the Mercedes dealership and get a car with no down payment. I know how to access business credit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. These are issues that I don't see myself having at all.
But what
So
about
it's
the
like a
man that
foreign.
you're dating? Like, if he's not on that level with you, literacy
How
wise.
am I dating him though? Like, I don't even know where I'm meeting him.
So you're
Like,
saying you're dating men who are already, good
yeah,
credit scores, 650 plus, nice cars, nice houses. They're already there.
yeah.
Why you're not married yet though? You didn't. Why are
No,
you
I'm not,
snatching them
because
up yet?
I'm not chasing. You know, I'm on my path, and I'm close though. So,
I got you. I
you
got
know,
you.
I'm close. You
So
know,
what?
and
Let me.
again, I just got on this path of
I got you. Okay.
you know what I'm saying. So it's like it's all coming together. But at this point, like after having my own businesses and being successful, like I don't even know how to like where am I meeting someone that doesn't have a car?
Girl, you'd be
I
surprised.
don't
A lot
know. Like,
of these brothers. I was on dates before I got married where the brother pulled up in an Uber, and I'm like, "Where's your car, bro? You need a car." So
yeah,
it's like,
I don't let people access me like that.
I know that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. China, how do you feel about that? Would you date a brother? Listen, when we talk about size matters, we're not just talking about dick. I told you earlier we were going to talk about credit. How do you feel about a brother's credit? Like, how do you feel about that, girl?
So I'll keep it real simple. Match my energy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I will not require anything that I can't bring to the table myself, right?
Amen.
And I think that's where a lot of women go wrong.
Hmm.
They want a man that makes six figures, mid six figures, but you're making 50K.
Mhm.
They want a man who has an 800 credit score, and you sitting over here at a 545.
Yeah.
They want a man to come in and take care of the household, and you can't keep it clean. So all of that to me ties in together. And as
Mhm.
far as the finances, I don't need a millionaire. I've actually dated one, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
Um, a whole asshole, to
They
be
are
to be
straight
honest.
up. Not even worth the time.
Yeah, not even worth the time. So when it comes to the finances, bring home some bacon. You know what I mean? I don't have a number. I don't have a specific number in mind. Some people have a specific number in mind. I'm thinking you're going to miss out on your blessings because you're being too picky. But come, with your own, able to take care of yourself. I don't, like I mentioned earlier, I don't want to come in and have to teach, show, train anybody. I'm past that. I'm looking for a husband, right? So you, at this point, you have to be husband material. But does that, do I have a specific number in mind? No, I don't.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because we have Mr. Connect. He's been blowing up the chat. Jesus. So he said, "You ladies are shallow." So why are we shallow? Because we're stating what we simply like and we don't like.
We're shallow because we don't fit the bill.
Can y'all see the chat? It's over to the right. If you click on comments. Don't let it get to your head because when you're on these live shows, people just say whatever they want. But they're not here to defend themselves, so we don't really care. But he also said, I bet none of you are married. That's fine. We already discussed, these ladies are on their journey. They're on their path. You're not just going to choose anybody just to be divorced 2-3 years later. I mean, Charmaine, you already said you fell in that hole and you ended up divorced a couple years later. So it does take time to find the right person. And marriage is hard. It's not easy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a constant, like you said, Neek, earlier, it's a partnership. It's a business. Just running and juggling, being a wife and a mom and an entrepreneur, like
you want to find a good partner. You know what I'm saying? For real. Like it's a life partnership. So I don't feel like it's shallow to know what you want in a partner. I think it's very deep because you're going to be there for forever is a mighty long time.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I mean, it's about alignment at the end of the day for me. Oftentimes we try to force ourselves into situations because we're triggered by people like Mr. Connect, like, oh, he said I'm not married by whatever, and I need to go and get married. I can get married. You know what I'm saying? I can be. It's not a big deal. I want to be, happily married. I want, I desire to crave my husband to the point where I want to duplicate him into this world. That's the energy that I'm looking for. It's not, I mean, and everybody that has that for their husband, it's not something specific that they want to duplicate. It's something innate. It's inside as a woman, it's like, oh man, I crave this man so much. There needs to be more of him in this world. So I would be honored to have his child. Women, we go through damn near death to have life, to birth life. And that's not shallow, that's very deep. So a lot of times it becomes normalized that people do it so easily and without a lot of care, and they're considered deep. But how? You're broken and you're bringing broken people into the world, and it's resentment behind it because you're not even satisfied with what you brought forth, the fruit that you're bearing. So for me, I never wanted to do that, to subject my lineage to that. So it was first and foremost that I get myself together, financially, mentally, you know what I'm saying? So yes, I have a home, a 3-bedroom home. I have my foreign car, but that's nothing to brag about when it comes to a man. It's just that's been my journey. I know I can do it for myself. This is what I know I can add value to my husband. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he has to have these things, but he has to have discipline, structure, something that I want to follow, provision, like a guide, you know. I have the substance to multiply.
Yeah, the three things I tell a woman, a man needs to protect, provide, and to provide security, period. That's what a man should do. Because if we're bringing the table, then they need to be able to provide the shelter, that goes over the table, to protect us, to provide and to make us feel secure. That's extremely important. So those are all really good points. Neek, I'm curious, earlier when you said you have access to these high value men, girl, where they at? Because let some of the single ladies know,
I
where do you
didn't.
find them?
What I said was I'm putting myself in a situation where I can have access to them. So I am
Gotcha.
taking
Okay.
etiquette classes. I will be
Okay.
traveling internationally. I have a mentor that's training me to go
Oh,
international.
awesome.
I
Yeah.
wanted to. My vision was to go to Shanghai first, but he's putting me in Dubai first. So I am putting myself in situations to attract what it is that I feel like I want,
Yeah.
but also in alignment with my purpose and my vision. So, you know, I'm living out my soul purpose, regardless of what others have to say. I'm okay with me at the end of the day. I watched my mother, a beautiful woman, beautiful, passed away in February,
I'm
um,
sorry.
at 66.
Mhm.
And I kind of made a post about it earlier that was relatable. But, for me, when she asked me, my parents got married when I was 9,
Mhm.
right? And they asked me, "Do you want us to get married?" Now they wanted to get married to have me grow up in a two-parent household. I get it, right?
Mhm.
I never wanted them together because their personalities were so different,
Mhm.
right? And I just, knowing your parents, you kind of know. I'm like, "Mom, you're not going to be happy," and she wasn't. She tried to be, but she was not happy at all for the
Yeah.
duration. And that's how, like, I'm not willing to do that.
So
Exactly. It's important. And not to mention, like you said earlier, for Mr. Connect, I said, I bet none of you are married. That's fine, because the minute you pick the wrong husband and then you bring children into this world who didn't ask to be here, and now, personalities are clashing, and now households are torn apart, and now you're raising your children single, and now you're back to square one. And it's even harder when you have children, even
now
with two
you got
people in the house.
now you got kids with trauma that they got to deal with when they're adults.
Yeah.
So
So,
I
yeah, men need to stop bashing women about not being married. We
yeah.
take
And
our time.
it's
That is
funny
not
because it's
that's
like
not the
men be on
vibe,
this polygamous type of thing, and I feel like polygamy is okay. You know what I'm saying? It's good for the group economics type of thing. However, what does a woman do when um okay, so let's just say I'm with a man, he's treating me like a king, and this is a monogamous situation, but his package isn't, I'm not sexually fulfilled. What do I
Mhm.
do? Just harbor that until I
Right.
go unfulfilled because I'm a woman and that's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Just what do you do?
One second, ladies.
Do any of the ladies on this show know what men want? Tell us. How about you shed light on that?
so I know plenty of women that are married but are miserable.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm ignoring that question, but I know plenty of women that are married and are miserable. So um, while the earlier question might have been, I bet none of you are married. There's a lot of married, unsatisfied women, whether it's I'm tired of picking up your drawers off the floor, or you don't contribute into
Like
the
the last
household
time.
other than financial,
Mhm.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like they're and you know living miserable lives. Don't want to. If they had to do it all over again, wouldn't. So
I think people are just different nowadays. Men are different. It's really hard to find that traditional man that we can be traditional with because they're far and few between. And that's not to say that a traditional man may not have, 6 figures. I'm not saying I'm looking for 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for someone that can lead, that, I mean, providing is more than just than financial to me. It's it's something in the that allows my womb to relax.
Right. It's yeah, and I didn't realize what providing meant until I got married, because at the end of the day, when you're on your last trimester of pregnancy, and your doctor says, I don't care that you're an entrepreneur, you're a go-getter, you don't work, you don't get paid, this baby's gonna fall out of you. So if all my money stops coming in, I need to know that I got a man who can provide, pick up the pieces,
Exactly.
and continue to let our household run.
Exactly.
And especially if men who desire to have all these kids, and it's like you need to be able to provide. Um,
And so that goes to earlier when we were talking about does he does there need to be financially, is there a figure, which I don't know what is that figure, but for me, you if I can't, you need to be able to.
right.
And that's just what I look for in a when I say a man. A lot of men, things have shifted a lot, because
Yes.
back in the day they knew
Mm-hmm.
that they had to be providers, and now we've gotten so accustomed to women providing and helping, so 50-50, this 50-50 thing, that they expect that and they look for that and they require that, which is fine if that's what works for the two people that are in the relationship. Whatever works for y'all works for y'all.
Mhm.
However, if she can't, you must, in my
True.
opinion.
Mhm. Mhm.
And for whatever reason, whether it is, oh, I'm pregnant and my doctor says I can't, I'm high risk, or it's, we have these kids and I just want to stay home and nurture our children and, put into them what I want to put into them versus having them go somewhere else and, somebody else raise my kids during the day while I go to work. Whatever the reason being is, and me as a single, a woman with no children, if I decide, hey, you know what, I think I'm gonna start a business and I'm just gonna quit my job, you should be like, supportive of that and be able to carry on, our lifestyle and what we want to do. I'm not saying that, I need to be able to go shopping every weekend on that, on your on this new budget, but you should be able to be the provider. You know what I mean? Like I said, my parents were married 40 years, and there was a time, and my mom always worked throughout. When we were growing up, here and there, sometimes she would stay home with us if it was financially make more financial sense than paying childcare. But when we got older, she worked, and she worked for the government. She had a great job. But my dad had a picked up a second job when she wanted to stop working for whatever reason, here and there, and he was in the Navy. So he was in the Navy and delivering pizzas for Domino's because he was the man of the house and he was going to provide for his family. But he had an able-bodied woman at home.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Women, we go through so much. I think men don't realize like the resilience we have, when it comes to, giving birth and, running households, running businesses. You don't have to be a mom and a wife to be a strong woman. There's so many things that like we go through that I don't think men understand and they don't appreciate. For me personally, my husband was in medical residency at the time that I was pregnant. I literally worked all the way up until the day I gave birth and was back to work 3 weeks later. And I thought I was going to die. I was walking around, I was a zombie, but I was the breadwinner at the time. So, I had to run the household, and it's like, of course he appreciated, me being able to, juggle all these things and hold it down at the time. But I think, men don't realize like we bear so much. It's like you want to be able to, take your time and find the right partner, somebody that you're going to be able to really have that good partnership and that business, almost like a business relationship
It
too
is a
sometimes.
business. It is a
Yeah.
business.
It is.
And if
It's,
more people thought of that going into it, there would be a lot less divorce. A
exactly.
lot more that goes into marriage than love and sex, and you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
if you do want to be just basic, and you want to be, um, you know, very very modest life, and you don't really want to. It depends on the quality of life, I guess. And I don't mean that. I don't always mean that financially, but you know, do you want to have different experiences? You can't
Right.
have different
Yeah.
experiences when there's no money to have them experiences.
I mean, we got to be real. Like everything costs money. Everything.
It's
Every-
true.
Everything costs
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can do that does not cost money nowadays. And whether that's good or bad is neither here nor there.
That's the
You know what I'm
fact.
saying? We're here. You know what I'm saying? And this is what we're in, and we are not in a position to really change that. What
Mhm.
we can do is change our outlook on how we navigate through this system. And nobody said it was going to be easy. Nobody said that, people will figure this out by the time they were 25 and have it all together by a certain. There's a high possibility I won't find the man of my dreams or whatever, and I'm okay with that because I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
unhappy and settle for someone that's gonna destroy everything that I have.
Listen, my peace is you can't put a price tag on peace,
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
And I hear so I'm 36, so like all of my friends, my close friends are either married or in serious relationships with families, a family of their own. And so I'm even though I'm not currently married, like I know exactly what it is to be with someone that's driving me nuts. To get married, you know what I mean? Like, what's the prize in that?
Yeah, you can do bad by yourself,
Right.
right?
And and most times you can do amazing by yourself because you're not attached to someone
Yep.
that is bringing you down.
Taking it, zapping your energy, just
Right.
all.
Like the people that we attach ourselves to directly affect us, our lives. And
Right.
so if their energy is yeah, it's just it's a lot.
I can show you the block list on my phone.
Oh
Exes,
my.
friends, so-called family members is long. I don't play with people. Like you're not gonna mess up my energy and my little bubble around my
Right.
head. No,
It's
it's just
important. Like mental health is important,
Yeah.
big, big
big
time.
time. Like we see, I see it on the news feeds of people. You got men killing their whole family. Then you got women killing their kids and blaming it on the men. It's like, where in the how? What?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even understand how this happened. But obviously, from the beginning, something was wrong.
Right.
From the inception of that, something was wrong. So I'll be
Mr. Connect. I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and finish that. Sorry.
No, I was just saying I'll be shallow responding to Mr. Connect.
I know, right? I was so he going in. Um, he's probably one of those looking for an Instagram model, and then she go out. Don't look, guys. All those Instagram models are sleeping with 5 other guys, and they got sugar daddies, and they're over there trying to wife them up, right? So he said, you can want a high value man, but do you qualify for one?
Did
So
we use the word high value in any of this?
I think I said earlier,
Oh,
Mhm.
China, how do you feel about that? You've been a little quiet. Like, do you think you qualify for a high value man according to Mr. Connect?
I qualify for a good man.
I know
Um,
that's
I have friends who, if we're having a conversation, they want a man that's, 6 foot tall. They want a man with a beard. They want a man with,
Mhm.
nice fade. One wants one with dreads. Um, Simply put, I want a good man. You know what I mean? Now, underneath that umbrella is where it gets deeper. Do you have a relationship with God? Right? Am I sexually satisfied? Are we genuinely happy? all of these things, even though the title of this podcast is Does Size Matter, that comes with a lot of things, right? The size of your heart, the size of your brain, the size of your body.
Ooh. Hey,
All of
take it there. Take it there.
they,
Yes.
they
All the
all
way there, girl.
matter. And
Yes.
so this is the perfect scenario. Less than 25% of Black women, what I saw, will be married. Less than 25%. Less than 25%. Technically, right now we're at 25 right now because you're the only one on here that's currently married. But what does that tell? Are women being too picky? Are men not being men? Are we what?
We'll talk about that.
Exactly.
We'll talk about that.
It's all about, women this, how she look, how, what she does. Is she, doing anything as far as entrepreneurship? Is she making money? What about you? Like, what makes you qualify as being a high value man? I don't really use that phrase, honestly, but since we are on the topic, why does it always, or why does, I hear a lot of guys saying, but do you qualify? Okay, but are you? So I don't really dig into that. But going back, yes, what I saw the studies, less than 25% of women will be married, and at my age, I am okay if I do not. Right, I have no other choice. Do I desire? Yes, of course. I don't need the world. What was that song back in the day? I'll give you the sun, the
Moon, the
somebody,
sun, the
yeah.
stars, the mountain. Yeah. Dr.
I'll give you the word. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? But I do
Because your
want
bills is paid, and you probably got some dick coming around once in a while.
exactly. But yes, my happiness will trump all, and a part of that happiness is getting good D.
Nafi said, "Preach, China."
Listen,
That was some good stuff. So
good
yeah,
D will clear that skin up.
yeah. So Mr. Connect, we're not worried about men. I had a man say the one time, like, "I'm the prize."
That's what they're saying nowadays. And this is like
Oh,
this is the effeminate stuff that is masculating men, because it's like, okay, you the prize, and now you got women getting down on one knee and going after the prize.
right.
And it's like,
I
don't know
refuse.
where that's coming from.
I refuse.
I just saw someone get on her knees and propose to a guy.
It breaks
Yeah, I'm good
my
on
heart.
that. If
No.
that's what it takes for me to get married nowadays,
heart.
I'm okay.
No. And Kevin Samuels, God rest his soul, he actually put this whole high value man thing on this pedestal, on a silver platter. Like, you're required to have a good job and be educated, my brother, and to make decent money. That's a requirement. We're
Right.
not giving you kudos for being high value. We're high value too.
But women have lowered their standards, so it's not even a requirement now. It's like, it can be, it's a requirement for me and probably a lot of us on the panel, but it's not for a lot of women. $40 is a requirement for a lot of women nowadays. It's
Right.
the standards are so low that men do feel like they're the prize, and rightfully so, because we're not holding our value. We're not.
Yeah.
But men will change when we don't give up the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they stop getting that, they're gonna have no choice but to change. So we have to hold our value as women. That's how I feel. And the only way to get back to our value is for us to know ourselves, get our mental health on track, and not be so stigmatized.
Say it again, because they got these women out here throwing them the ass for a steak meal, and we can go buy that ourselves.
Well, listen.
Because it was good. They throwing it around for some Ruth Chris. We could all go
Because
out
it's
and have
about instant gratification. It's about escapism. I think that's
right.
the word I want to use. If you're not blowing weed to escape your reality, then you're having sex trying to like get out your trauma through that for whatever it is, and not really dealing with the real issue.
Mr. Connect, are y'all reading the comments?
I'm
Exactly.
trying.
Not dealing with the real issues, Nick, for real. He said y'all are single because you're too picky and you probably don't know how to get along with a man.
I have a male best friend. We just
We all came from men, so why wouldn't we know?
my dad's a man.
I grew up with men in my house.
Brother's a guy.
Only my mom. I had all brothers and my father in the house. So yes, I know men and I know how they think. And that's part of my journey now, is because I definitely have too much masculine energy. So that's been part of my journey, is trying to kind of
soften that.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
And being able to, and since we talking about that, a lot of men, they have that qualm with Black women being too masculine or too independent or too, I got this and I don't need and da da da. Well, who brought us there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where do we get that from? Where did we develop those, those traits? And so once we find it, and you'll find that if a woman can find a man that allows her to sit in her femininity, because he's a man and he's doing what he needs to do, and she's safe and she's secure and she can be led,
Penny dropper all day,
comfortable being led by that man, that woman will soften the heck up.
You just sit back and relax.
Yes, because you can just be in what you're already supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But if I have someone that I don't trust you to lead me off a cliff, what are we doing?
You can't lead me to the bank. Like, I don't trust you. And that's the bank.
Listen.
Weird ass.
And the thing is, that has to develop, right? None of us are saying that we have to go in the gate at a 10. You have to grow. You have to grow into that, right? So when people say, why aren't you married, or why aren't you in a committed relationship? Well, somebody got to get past, date number 3 in order to get there. You know what I mean? There's guys who don't, speaking of, there's guys who don't even know how to date, who don't even know how to make love to our minds. And as we get older, these two have to connect. If they don't connect, we have nothing. You know what I mean? So yes, sex is important.
And the package could be right.
It has to be right. It has to be right. You can have good D all day long, or you can have the size all day long, but is the sex good?
Oh, yes.
It's making love actually good. You know what I mean? That is what's really important. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know, you two ladies, outside of Miss Neek, I know you said like 9 is a good size for you guys. I've never measured. I just know what feels good, right? But I've had some guys who were really just average, but the sex was good. You know what I mean? Because it all tied together. So, but yeah.
So my question for you ladies is, okay, so let's just say the sex isn't up to par, and you do find yourself in a relationship with this person. What do you do? Like,
so it depends on you, because it depends on you, because I mean, are you at a point in your life, or do you have the ability, not even the ability, do you want to train someone? Do you want to teach a grown man? And I am honestly, in not even just talking, sexually, but in general, I'm a firm believer in not assuming that people know anything. You tell them, you know what I mean? So I'm okay with saying, hey, this is what I like, this is what turns me on, these are where my spots are. I'm okay with that. However, if I have to really like guide you and show you the motion of what you need to be doing, and how deep you need to go, or where the G spot is, Google is free. Google is free. Certain things you can do on your own. You know what I mean? And at a certain age, what are we doing?
But see, on
Right.
that, I've actually had a guy to tell me what you want.
Which
You
is
know,
fine.
if I'm
You
not
can say that.
satisfying you, tell me that.
But I'm not going to tell you that I need you to go 3 inches down, turn to the left, and then wiggle a little
Right.
bit. I'm not doing all that. Like, if my body will tell you when
That's the
you're
thing.
there.
It's listening and receiving with the body.
Right. And relax. It's not a race. Just chill
Yeah.
out. If you listen to my body, like if you just follow my body, and vice versa, because I'm doing that for you. Trust.
Right.
If you listen to my body, you'll know, oh, that's where that's at. Or, I need to it ain't really right here. So let me try this right here. And especially if I anyway,
Listen,
No.
yeah, it's true. So he also is saying that you ladies oversaturated the market with pussy,
I that's what I just said.
and pussy is everywhere for cheap.
can I
That's why
say
it's not
something?
like that.
So are you we
First of all, the hoes
oversaturated,
oversaturated the market.
huh?
True. Not
What you say?
but I just said that. Like you could get vagina for $40 now. Like women aren't
First off,
holding their value.
what
Yeah.
what are we talking about? Men been doing this for years. So now in the last how many years, when women are a little bit more liberated and free and enjoy sex, whatever, now you gotta tell them that they're oversaturating the market. Y'all was having 10 kids with five
Right.
different households back in the day. Y'all still doing it. So
Yeah.
let's not don't play in my face.
That's the hoes that are using the power of the pussy, because those are the ones that they end up wifing up, but then they end up sleeping with their brothers and their daddies and the mailman and the poop guy. Okay.
Listen.
So the
But this is the
educated-
world that we're living in. We're living with those
Exactly.
babies
Mhm.
and those men that have grown up, and we're expected to date them. Like you're your aunt's stepchild cousin type of thing. Like
Mhm.
and it's like now that's who we're living with. But something that he was saying about he said that men settle with lower value women than the other way around,
He's
but
saying that,
it's
yeah.
more successful women in the world, black women, and I've seen them date just bums because the sex is good. Like
Are they
you got
submissive?
lawyers,
Yeah.
that went to Spelman, and because the market for high value men and men feeling like they're the prize so much, like they're dating just around the way dudes that's putting it on them, and
Yeah.
I feel like as a woman, our value is placed differently.
Right.
So I mean, for a man, and I'm sure there's exceptions to everything. So some men may consider, okay, what do you bring to the table financially? But for a woman, her value is gonna lie in other areas. I can cook my ass off. I'm not lazy. You're gonna come home to a clean house,
Mhm.
organized. I know financial literacy, so we gonna be straight.
Right.
My business. I you know what I mean. So our value is gonna be placed on certain things, on other things versus a man. A man. For me, I want my man to be able to put a ceiling fan in.
Mhm.
I want to be able to patch the wall with when you're a homeowner, you think about stuff like this.
right.
So can you there's a hole in the wall. Can you get the drywall and patch it without it
Yeah.
looking like it's
Stain
been
the deck so that the weather doesn't eat away at the wood on our new
Exactly.
deck. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
anyway.
All of
the
that.
gutters
These
up?
are
Can you
things that
clean
I'm
the
doing.
gutters? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so
Right.
where I lack, you should, pick up. Now I also don't, for me anyway, I also would like a man that is not so caught up on a lot of the gender roles, because what I don't want is to be anybody's slave or maid.
Yeah, you have to have a good
Yeah,
balance. Some of
especially if
the
I'm working. And if I'm
oh,
not working and you
absolutely.
doing it, I don't mind. I'll,
Mhm.
do all that. You ain't got to worry about that. However, if I'm contributing to the household, I go to work like you go to work. I get up like you go, like you get up. I'm tired, like you're tired. No, I'm not coming behind you and slaving after you. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, it's true. Some of the best men out here, and I've been blessed to be with some in some really good relationships. I could tell you want a woman that challenges them. Do you think Barack married Michelle Obama because she wasn't a strong, resilient woman who probably made his butt sit down and read books and do this, do that, and excel himself mentally? Like some of the best men want to be challenged. You know, if they end up getting these scallywags out here who aren't doing nothing with their lives, but they're pretty and they can, maybe fry some fish here and there, and there's no substance. Like a good man should appreciate a woman that is strong, is educated, and it doesn't even have to, she doesn't even have to be beautiful.
I
I
think
mean, you
I
all are
think a
beautiful
strong
ladies.
man appreciates
A
that.
strong, a strong. A
Weak
lot of these men
men
don't do
I
don't,
that.
think a
but weak
secure
men
man
create
appreciates
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
masculine women.
A secure
exactly.
man
A
because
lot of yeah, and there's not many men out here like that who want to be challenged. And if they're not challenged, then they're cowards.
yeah,
Like,
who wants
how
to
can you
just
protect and provide for me? Just not even provide. How can you protect me if I can't challenge you as a man? You know what I mean?
No emotional intelligence. They want to compete with a
Zero.
woman. They want to, you know,
they
they
want
want
the
to
woman
compete
to
with
be
a
seen
woman.
and not heard.
Exactly. That's a good point. You hit it right on the head, Charmaine. Seen and not heard. You know.
Interesting.
You-
I don't mind being not heard. I want to be quiet.
Now I
like
want
yes,
to be heard.
Daddy.
I want to be heard. I
For
gotta
real. Like I want someone that
learn.
can lead. Like I'm most women that are in positions of power, it's not because we wanted it.
Mhm. But also what I would say is, and with that,
Bible. Yeah.
is, yes, we want a man that can lead. However, life is so multifaceted, and so he's not going to have all the answers, and so you do need to be able to say, hey, I think this is, we should do this, or we should move like this, or this should be the next plan, or whatever, and he should be solid and secure enough to say that makes sense.
Mhm.
Right.
Not just well, it's gonna go how I say it,
Right.
nah, buddy. If it makes sense, it just makes sense. And you should be secure enough and man enough to say, you know what, baby, that's what we're doing. Cause, yeah,
That's what I married you for, baby, because
right.
you
Exactly.
know
And
what I'm saying?
the head don't turn without the neck. And the woman is always gonna be the neck.
Hmm,
Okay.
hmm,
So and that's how it is. I mean, in my growing up in my household, you know, my mom could just look a certain way and my dad already knew what time it was. And you want to have that in your marriage where, you could just, oh, my wife ain't playing, she just gave me that look. And they have that respect for you. You know what I mean? Not where it's like, oh, well, who the hell cares what she says? Like, no. Like, so, and I don't care how much money you make, you have to
right.
have that respect. So this is great conversation, ladies. We'll go ahead and wrap up. Mr. Connect, obviously he's bored. He ain't got nobody. Go on Instagram and give you somebody tonight. Um,
We're very gracious to read his comments.
see if you can get a little two-piece fish meal from one of them little Instagram chicks who've been using the same oil they've been frying the chicken in. They don't tell you
And
that.
she married.
Don't know about that.
Right. And then he said, this is the last comment I'm gonna read from his ignorant ape. Do you even know what men want? Yeah, we know what men want. They want us to be feminine. They want us to be this. They want us to be that. But we're living in our purpose, and that's all that matters. So Neek, give our viewers just a little tidbit of some advice you would put out there to women out here, like trying to find their purpose and a husband, if you will.
Accountability first. Like for me, I had to be really honest with myself first and where I was messing up myself. And it was a lot of ways. So accountability first, that mirror don't lie. Stare at it long enough.
Amen. Love that. Love that. China.
I would say don't settle. so many people are in relationships and they're not happy simply because they want to be in a relationship. Um, be okay with being alone. It doesn't feel good on this side. It does not feel good on this side. We all want someone, right? I absolute cringe when I hear a woman say, "I don't need a man." Girl, stop. Yes, you do. Yes, we need each other, right? But don't settle just for the sake of having someone.
Right.
Beautiful, love it. Charmaine.
Yeah. I'll piggyback off what China said. And maybe not need a man, but we need companionship. And the way that it comes out, oh, I don't need a man, is like, I don't need a man to provide or to whatever, but we need that companionship. We're human. That's how we're made up. I mean, that's just nature for us. But do your work, do your work. Everything else will follow. And it took me a long time to learn that and to realize that. These last couple years, I been doing a lot of self work and surrounding myself with people that can feed into me and vice versa, and are like minded, so that I'm focused on my work and what I'm doing, and that might look different for different people, whether it's doing shadow work, if that's what you believe, or having, a therapist kind of help navigate, where you are and where you want to go and how you need to get there. But getting in tune with yourself, so you know what you want, what you desire, and that you'll attract that. Once you're better, you'll attract better.
Absolutely love it, ladies. And I have to piggyback a little bit on.
We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I started playing the outro music. Yeah, I have to piggyback a little bit more on the "I don't need a man" thing. Are you going to put yourself in your dream home, ladies? Are you going to birth your children by yourself? I mean, we have to kind of get out of that, mindset. I don't need someone, because at the end of the day, we're human, and we all need to be connected and satisfied. And a lot of times when you bring two forces together, you can make it move like like a mountain, we know that. So, but yeah, we loved having you guys on. Thank you so much. Everyone, it was good for you tuning in. Thank you for your comments. Everyone, have a good evening. Take care and have a good night. Thanks for joining. And remember to like, share, and comment.